Good morning, good afternoon. How are you? Sorry, I'm about 6 or 7 minutes late. I was trying to set up my webcam. How are we? How was your week? Hope you had a successful week. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. It's about 10 over here in Ecuador, South America. Um, This week was quite an interesting one because there were a lot of videos making the turn, popping up here on YouTube about the changes that YouTube is making. Namely, they will stop monetizing faceless videos, So that is it's an ugly situation for some people, but does that mean it's bad? Necessarily not, because I mean, it could be a room to grow to redo those faceless videos in a more engaging manner, in a more interesting way, just comply with their rules, So that was what I learned today. I'm an upcoming YouTuber. I like to say I'm an amateur YouTuber. Even though many people may not agree or like the word amateur, but I like to be honest and transparent. So I'm very happy this morning because I had a very, very rough week. Everything that could go wrong with my content creation did go wrong. But um, I, I just took a deep breath and count down, and we started all over. And by Friday, I think I had all my videos uploaded. So it was a win for me. For those of you who don't know, I have I have three channels. I have this channel, L'autodidact Africaine. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, that's my language channel where I practice French and Italian. And then I have my my Spanish channel, The African in Ecuador. Can you see that? Yeah, The African in Ecuador at La Africana in Ecuador. So if you're interested in Spanish content, feel free to go and subscribe there. They're very interesting stories, just my experiences as an African living in a Hispanic country. Sorry, we always say Hispanohablante. Yeah, in a Spanish speaking country. So, actually, today's topic was brought to my attention by a video I watched, which I'm going to be talking about very soon. But the word ugly has really very strong implications. It evokes a lot of negative energy, like seriously negative energy. Many people uh, find it offensive when you say something is ugly. So, for example, if you look at a scenario, a bird that is trying to break out of its egg, hatching out, that cracking, that breaking out is considered ugly, right? Because the egg is no longer smooth, the surface is cracked. Even when the bird itself comes out, it's all, soddy with all those slimy fluid, and a birth process is an ugly process. But does that mean it's a bad process? No, it's a chance for growth. It's something that moves you to another phase, to another step in life, you know. And I personally, I think, I really think that when we say ugly, we use it when we use it to describe another human being. We feel offended because we associate our self-worth, our personal esteem to that word. Because when we talk about beauty, people have been taught that you are not good enough, so you are ugly, okay? Because generally the word beautiful means that you are appealing, okay? You are attractive, you are pleasant. Some versions say you are pleasant, so um, and we've been taught from infancy, when you have a child and like, oh, baby, the baby's cute. I've never seen someone say baby's ugly, but I personally feel, and that's my opinion, which I feel I'm entitled to, that all babies are cute. All babies are cute. I don't care beautiful or not, they are cute. And I also think that we have come to associate the word ugly to evil because of the way we were raised to in our childhood. If you come from my generation where we watched a lot of fairy tales, you must have watched something like Cinderella, and Cinderella was a pretty one, and her other stepsisters, her two stepsisters, were timed ugly, and they were ugly both physically and inwardly in character, right? So when someone says you're ugly, the first thing we try to think is that we're not good enough by moral standards or something like that, which necessarily is not the case. And the implication of someone saying that we are ugly literally means or translates also to the fact that we are not being accepted because we are not appealing, right? And if you go back to the fairy tales, you can check the case of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, where her mom was or her stepmother rather, yeah, was so afraid to have someone else more beautiful than her, because in that case, beauty was enchanting, beauty was attractive. She used her beauty to sort of enchant the community. People were under her spell. In African standards and many places in the world, unfortunately, light skinned is considered more attractive, more appealing. And so when someone says we are ugly, we think what is it about me? It breaks down our confidence. However, last week I was watching um, a very beautiful lady that I follow here on YouTube, and many of you know her. She's called Fumi DÉSÁLU-VOLD. I watch her channel, and there was an episode that I followed. I don't follow every episode because sometimes I'm busy, but when I saw the topic of that episode where someone said that she's ugly, she made it this thing, I found it hilarious, like literally hilarious. Because if you know Fumi, you know that Auntie Fumi is an absolutely stunning lady, even for her age. She's just a beautiful creature in and out. And I'm not just, yeah, in and out. You can see that and that beauty in her energy that she transmits on her videos. She even finds it very difficult to criticize. So when this subscriber, I don't know if the person was subscribed to the channel though, to her channel, said that she's ugly, people came for her, like literally came for her, and said she was rude, she was inconsiderate. And what provoked that person to say that was a previous video Auntie Fomi had done where she was talking about black skinned girls being considered ugly, that even our African brothers don't want to date them. I didn't watch that one in its entirety, but I can imagine because it's not really a new topic. That is the reason why a lot of girls bleach, especially in West Africa. There are so many salons, many beauty centers that offer skin lightening services, and you wonder why is that the case? Is it because of Eurocentrism? Have we been so brainwashed by the European standard of beauty that dark skin is considered ugly? I have a friend also on Facebook who also had that same problem when growing up, and people would be like, "You're black," call her like charcoal or something like that. And those standards, and that person had the guts to say, "No, no, 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 Auntie Fumi, in the actual sense, you were ugly." But what caught my attention and inspired me to make this video today, to come to talk about it today, was the fact that for Auntie Fumi, it just like was water on a duck's back. She didn't make a fuss about it. It was hilarious to her, and to me personally, I found it very, very hilarious. And that is because people like Auntie Fumi have done work on their selves to the point where you are able to differentiate words from their meaning and their feelings. You're able to to separate your feeling from words. Words are only powerful as long as we give them that power. Someone said, even the word beautiful should not make you happy if you know you are. Because for me, I feel when we associate too much emotion to those things, then we have not done a lot of work. Okay. For example, in my case, one time someone said to me, "No, you've gained weight, and so you're not looking as pretty as you used to do before." And I got what they were trying to say. That's because in their mindset, beauty is associated with a smaller figure. The person didn't mean that I was a bad person. They just thought of the physical look of how attractive or inattractive or unattractive I am with my current outward appearance. Funny enough, we can have people who are very, very attractive or beautiful physically, like you see them and they're like, stunning, but they have a very, very nasty character, like very ugly character. And you've seen those people being depicted in the movies, or perhaps you've seen them real life, like very nasty people. All right. And you see the opposite, that they don't look, it's not someone you will look and say, "Oh," and gasp for because they are so attractive, but they are the most pleasant persons that you could ever have come across that day or have in your life. So, what am I trying to say? The word ugly does not necessarily mean bad. That's what I'm saying. When someone says you are ugly, just take it dictionary meaning, period, because it is just an adjective. If we can get to the place where we teach our kids and ourselves, our older selves, to just look at it like that, I don't think we will be offended. Neither would we be overexcited if somebody uses the word beautiful, because someone may just say you're beautiful because they like the shape of your nose or your hair, or probably even just the way your outfit that they looked on you, and say, "Oh, you're beautiful," or "You look beautiful." And they don't know you in and out, and you know yourself better. So we should learn to take things at in a logical sense than an emotional sense. That's what I'm trying to say. We should learn to raise our children and our younger women to not be overstimulated, overexcited with those terms, because if a situation can be ugly simply because it's not pleasant to us, then a human being can also be not attractive. I feel if somebody can say to you without you asking them, like, "Oh, you're beautiful," and we smile, why should the person say you're ugly and you're offended? That was the lesson I learned from Auntie Fumi's video, to say, you know what? She said what she wanted to say. That's her opinion, and she stands by her opinion. What really can be worse about that, for me, is just pitiable that such a person has grown up with a mindset that dark people are not beautiful, but has not given the opportunity themselves the opportunity as adults to broaden that mindset. They are not necessarily bad people. Okay, that is just my 2 cents. So ugly is not bad, because if a situation is ugly, it doesn't mean it's a bad situation. Something good can come out of it. Something good can come out of it. Like maybe you're in an ugly relationship and you begin to see the ugliness of the relationship and it's bad. It's an opportunity, it's like a window to say, okay, this does not work for me. So I go. It's the same thing. Like when you go to the market or to the stores to buy something and you find two options, maybe a black dress and a red dress. There are people who love the color black. For some people, the color black is ugly. That does not make black bad. No, it's just not attractive to the viewer. It's not just appealing to the person looking. So if this person looking says, it's ugly, it's not beautiful, that's all it is. That's all it is. I feel we should stop associating that word with negativity or um negativity or rejection. Yeah, I think so, because you can be unattractive and yet people will accept you. Your people will accept you, and the people who find you beautiful or attractive will follow you or will like you or will befriend you, as the case may be. And the people who still don't find you, they say, we who are matured will be able to see the beautiful aspect of your personality, which for me is the more substantial beauty that every human being should strive for, to be beautiful on the inside and not on the outside. And if you're beautiful on the inside, if you have done the work, if you know how to be kind, how to be compassionate, you wouldn't really be fazed when someone says they find you physically unappealing or ugly, And that's just my 2 cents take on it. So there's nobody viewing right now that I know. That's all I wanted to say for this week. The month of July, I've been talking about people and our attitudes. Last week I talked about the negativity around the popular wedding that just ended. And this week I thought I would talk about that video and the lessons I learned from Auntie Fumi's video. And I hope you've taken a word or two from today's live stream. If you're watching, please do share your comments, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye bye. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.